I'm good. Welcome. How's everybody doing?
Oh man, I'm terrific. I don't.
Good. You good?
I don't think you were talking to me,
No,
but
I was. When I said everybody, you a part of the everybody. We
that's
got we got D in here. You part of the everybody. Everybody is everybody, man. I'm
yeah,
blessed.
yeah.
I'm blessed.
All right,
Can't
man.
complain.
We got another great show for you guys today, a 2020 edition.
2020. Happy New Year's to everybody. Sorry. Happy New Year. Not New Year's, nigga. It's 1 year. Happy New Year to everybody.
That's right. And even if you don't celebrate the New Year in the winter, I don't know why. I don't know.
What?
No,
You
Like
might
if you
do
Asian?
Chinese New Year,
no,
Lunar
no,
New Year.
not just that. Some people
New
celebrate New
Year.
Year at Passover.
Oh yeah, different calendar. What? No, that don't make no sense.
No, some people
The
celebrate the
Lunar
New
New Year
Year.
is what I think it's
Oh,
in
it's the
May.
Roman calendar.
Passover.
Yeah,
No,
Passover is a different
is
calendar.
it right? The
Yeah.
Passover
And
is the
Chinese.
calendar of the Jews.
Yes, the Jewish calendar. No, yeah, they have their calendar. Yeah, we're on the Roman calendar.
And then some people would say, well, New Year should be in the spring. I'd be like, well, do you know that when it's spring in the northern hemisphere, it's actually fall in the
Yeah,
southern
that shit don't
hemisphere.
make
So
sense.
let's just pick a good day.
Hey,
Everybody agree on it, and
time
let's
is
just do it.
relative, baby. That's what Einstein
Time
told
is
us.
a construct.
Time
But
is
that's
time
the
is a
that's that
social
flat earth
construct.
thinking, baby. We
Maybe
don't
it's
we don't we don't do
We
that.
don't go with some of that. No, time actually is. It actually is made up shit though, for sure.
No, no, it's actually it's
It's real,
it's
but it's
real,
fake.
but it's the way we our
It's
measurements are
real,
made
but
up.
The measurements are made up.
Time happens.
The
We the
construct that we
measure.
use to measure time is made up.
That's what I'm
Absolutely.
saying. Yes, that's the best way to say it.
Anyway, that's not what the show's about, you
It ain't.
guys.
It's just interesting to have that conversation.
Yes, just let you know that we're on a level of thinking that a lot of important
We
high
think.
level ideas.
We think about bullshit. We think about real shit all
That's
at the
right.
same time.
But we're thinking about you guys. So if you're here, go ahead and click the like, subscribe, and make sure that you get the notification bell to make sure that you're getting everything that we have to offer for the 2020 Soapbox Heroes, Tyrone Irvin, D. Johnson, Prince Gregory Hayes.
Yes, sir.
I am friend of the people, Robert Kelly, and we want to make sure that you're getting everything that we have to offer. So hit that
Let's get
notification
that
bell.
light on, man. We in here looking like two Tootsie Rolls, my nigga.
Ooh, hey,
That
Tootsie
ain't
Roll.
bad. I just want a little bit more light on it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Let's see what that light looking like.
Are we better?
Pop,
Is it better?
picking up wrinkles and
We might
everything
need
in
to-
high def.
Look a little bit better. Oh,
Happy New Year. Oh,
let's
yeah.
hit that. Let's hit that too. Oh no, I got you. Actually, I got you over here, bro.
Okay.
There we go. There we go. Look at us. Look at us figuring things out. And I'm hoping everybody can hear us actually right now because I don't know. So, and I know you guys. You guys can hear us. I remember now. Tonight's gonna be a good episode. I'm just sharing this. We're all just sharing this. We're trying to get the content out to everybody right now. We want everybody to pay attention and tune in. We're also on the Soapbox Heroes Network on YouTube right now. We're live, so shout out to everybody on YouTube. In the YouTube streets, as my man Tyrone Irvin would say. We're on there as well. So if you're feeling froggish, leap over to the YouTube channel and come check us out. And we are about to have a good conversation
How important is generational wealth? And we're also going to ask a question, about we're also going to talk a little bit about the benefits of social democracy, which is a
Yep.
great subject that I love
Yep.
to talk about. So we're really going to be addressing a show that happened previously on Soapbox Heroes. What I'm going to do is after the this broadcast here in the description, I'm going to put a link to that conversation that had it was that was had it was Prince Gregory Hayes on the phone with KCOH Houston
yes.
talking to Tyrone Irvin's Soapbox Hero show. And there was a couple of guests in the house as well.
Mhm.
And the conversation was about generational wealth and its importance. Tell them how it all started.
So it started from a post I had made the other day when I was saying. So basically, in the post, I said in 2019, the most commonly used phrase it was generational wealth, and then I elaborated and said that the people that use it the most are those who are poor working class people who will never achieve generational wealth.
Mhm.
Now, right off the bat, I understand that a lot of people that a lot of people that a lot of people felt some type of way about that because the what I was getting back was you, why are you telling people they can't do something, right? And that wasn't my that's not even what I meant by that. like what I was saying was that is the actual truth. You know what I'm saying? Like whether it be right now or in 20 years or whatever, most of us and most people aren't going to reach generational wealth. You know what I'm saying? Like that's that's not that's not gonna happen for most people. And that was all I was saying. I wasn't, and I was talking about people, and I was talking about people. It was anecdotal what I was saying as well to a certain extent. But also, if you just look at the numbers, the way the numbers bear out is the majority. Like the 1% is called the 1% for a reason. You know what I'm saying? And if you're talking about generational wealth, you're talking about wealth that can be passed down for 2 generations. But what that means is not just any type of wealth, because you can't quantify it with a number. You can't put a number on it, right? So the way that you have to look at it is generational wealth is you don't have to work, your kids don't have to work, and your kids' kids don't have to work. So that's 2 generations. That's you, your kids, and your kids' kids. Or I guess if you want to count it 3, but 2 generations beyond you. They don't have to work. So who has generational wealth in America? Like examples of people who have generational wealth will be like LeBron James, Kobe Bryant. You know, I'm thinking about like low hanging fruit, like athletes and actors or whatever, right? Those people have generational wealth.
If they don't spend it.
If they don't, or they spend it wisely.
And then there's some people that doesn't matter how much money they spend, such as a Michael Bloomberg,
Jeff Bezos.
It doesn't matter how much money they spend; they're going to have generational wealth regardless. So.
Absolutely, and so that was basically the crux of my argument was that you're not going to see generational wealth, but you constantly talk about it as if somehow magically it's going to manifest itself because you're talking about it or you're thinking about it. You know what I'm saying? Like like I know Oprah has that documentary or whatever you want to call it called The Secret.
Okay.
I read Rich Dad Poor Dad a long time ago. I know the poor man's mentality and the rich man's mentality and all that stuff, but those things don't have anything to do with reality. You know what I'm saying? Like those things are cool to have. It's cool to be positive, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm positive as heck when it comes to like me and my situation. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I'm not dumb. I'm not ignorant when it comes to my situation as well. Like I'm not trying to gain generational. I don't need to be LeBron James to be happy, right? I understand that. You know what I'm saying? So that was pretty much that was pretty much my whole argument, and that was the reason for me posting that was because that was like literally how I felt. I wasn't trying to be funny or facetious. Like I mean, I put it in a way that was funny because you can't really like. There's no way to really measure that. Like I don't, who knows what phrase was the most used phrase. I'm just saying like that was the phrase that I felt like stood out the most, and it was like people would use it as a crutch in an argument, and you know this as well. Whenever we would engage a person in a conversation about bettering the economy, or something like that, or we'll talk about how slanted the economy is in a certain direction to favor a certain demographic of Americans. What do you get back? What do you get?
You must have money problems. You must be broke, or you must not care about or they would give me pitch me a business idea or try to sign me up for Primerica or something. And so definitely, but this is this is an important point of why that generational wealth. Even though it can be important, if it's important to you, it's important, but the importance is overblown. Rupert Murdoch, who is richer than you, I don't care who you are right now watching. Rupert Murdoch is going to give away all of his money when he dies. They had one of Rupert Murdoch's grandkids on Oprah one day, and they're talking like, she said he paid for me to go to college.
Yeah,
he doesn't pay for anything.
Yeah.
I pay for all my own stuff. He's like, he's not going to let you die.
Yeah.
But he's not going to get. He just doesn't give people money. He doesn't give his family members money. Everybody is required to do their own thing and make their own money. And if you're rich, it's going to be because you made yourself rich, just like he made himself rich.
Yeah.
And he's not concerned with passing down nothing to nobody. He's not concerned about generational wealth. But I bet you if I lived my life next to Rupert Murdoch as my father or grandfather, I'll be rich. He wouldn't have to give me money for me to become a rich person.
Yeah, no.
So, and
They're
I'm thinking
connected.
he's playing on that. Like, it's more
Yeah.
important for you to take in the correct information
Mhm.
and to use it for your own good,
Yeah.
as opposed to creating something for your and then passing down to your kids. Because what you see is a lot of people get their money passed down to them, and they're these trust fund babies,
Yeah.
and they don't really understand the workings of the real world.
Donald Trump.
And I think that, oh yeah, Meghan McCain,
Meghan McCain. Oh my God, she's an even better example.
right?
She's the worst.
So
Or best example.
right, and so I think that I think that Rupert Murdoch, in a way, he probably looks into the future and he wants to prevent that. He'd rather have less of that in his family than giving everybody everything that they absolutely want and need and money and provide all this environment for them, and then to have them basically be terrible people.
I'm going to go left of that and say that Rupert Murdoch simply is a greedy son of a bitch.
He absolutely is.
He's in the same line as David Rockefeller, who donated all of his money before he died, and Carnegie, and all of them. They all made that pact back way back in the day. Wealthy people have been doing that forever, and it's bullshit. I mean, because all they do with it is build libraries and shit. And libraries are fine, but I mean, we need other things. You know what I'm saying? So if he really was trying to change things, and also, why do you need to die to give away? I mean, if you're
they do give a. I mean,
no,
Murdoch
I'm
gives
not
away a
talking
lot
about
of
charities. I'm saying like to actually fix what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like they do that for their legacy. They're not doing that for the betterment of mankind. They want their name on a building at Harvard. They want their name, and also to buy access for their family members forever. Because they didn't give them the money, but forever Rupert Murdoch's kids can go to Cambridge forever. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
In Oxford and Harvard or whatever, elitist school that they want to get into.
Mention some key points about teach your children. This isn't what the show is about. The show is actually about the importance. Is it as important as you think? I mean, we can have. I mean, I would probably invite someone that was more concerned about generational wealth than I, and bring them onto the show if we were going to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
There are people that are experts in creating wealth, and that's great. More power to them. But what we're trying to say is that there's, as opposed to focusing on wealth, which is a goal that doesn't make you more happy. It's not going to really benefit the world if you're wealthy. Let's focus on doing the things that actually make our world a better place to live.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you get wealthy along the way, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
But you have a very slim chance of getting wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
But your life would be better served fighting towards the ideals that make the world a better place. Things like equity, things like justice, things like just social advancement in general. You know what I mean?
Definitely equity.
Definitely equity, though.
Definitely, and those things improve your quality of life in such a way that it's hard for most people who have never had those things. They don't understand like being a working class poor person like I am, and like I was my whole, like my mom was, and so like I never really understood the importance of having quality healthcare. I never understood how important that was. When I was younger, I grew up right next to an oil refinery.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't know what damage it has done to me. I lived there for 18, 19 years of my life. I breathed in toxic fumes for 19. I used to get headaches. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like I got allergies now and all types of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know what effects. It actually blew up one time, and they paid everybody. I grew up in Long Beach. It was so they paid everybody in Carson, in Compton, in Wilmington, and you know what I'm saying?
Where it's intersecting.
Everybody who got affected, but they did stuff like breathe into a tube, and you know what I'm saying? And then they just like basically was like, well, I guess this person, they figured out some way, formula, and then they paid out money, right? I didn't understand. Now I'm older. I understand environmental racism. You see what I'm saying? Like things of that nature are the things that I'm focused on now, as opposed to it being like, oh, let me get rich.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get $1 million, because if I get $1 million, then my life is going to be so much better. Because that's not true. Right. I don't believe that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that doesn't mean that in the meantime I'm going to stop working and I'm going to stop getting, you know what I'm saying? Like as the people would say, I'm going to get to the bag.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get to the bag. I'm not going to stop it, but I'm also not going to put all my energy into that, or most of my energy into that, because I understand that it's really not that important at the end of the day.
So the question is, why are so many people fixated on creating wealth when actually it doesn't take millions of dollars to make someone happy or to have a productive life? Why are people fixated on creating, on having massive amounts of money or making as much money as they possibly can?
For secure, I mean, in this society, you see the security it brings. So the things that people like, they wouldn't, like, if you asked a person what was important to them, right? They would tell you, I want to make sure my kid can go to school. I want to make sure we got food to eat. I want to eat good food, not just I want to eat food. I want to eat good food. I want to, I want them to get a good education. I want to make sure I have a good education. Like, you could just go down the line. It's like these really beneficial things to your life, right? Like really important things to everybody's life that any human being wants, right?
Right.
And then at the end, maybe it's like, yeah, I want to live in a nice home. Yeah, I want to drive a nice car. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's down there. Of course, we all want that stuff too, to a certain extent, right? But that's not most people's main focus when they're talking about getting wealth. They're doing it for security, right? So I ask you, if that is the case, then is there a better way than trying to make $2 million or whatever? You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And it's like that. People's, it's like this. Money is only, for some people, money is basically, just a means to an end.
Yeah.
No one, what you really want and your real dreams have nothing to do with money. But the money itself has been used as, has been tied to those things,
Mhm.
and the human factor of the values have been extracted from those things. So now it's just about your ability, your ability to have your dreams is directly linked to your ability to create capital,
Mhm.
and that is what capitalism hopes it will do for you. It takes the wants, the desires, the needs of people, and it commodifies them as best as they can. It takes out the actual human factor of it, where you're saying, well, I want the best healthcare available. I want to take care of myself. Say you work out, you eat right, you take care of yourself really well. Of course, you're going to want really good healthcare. That's important to take care of yourself. They say, okay, well, the people that have the best healthcare are the people that have the most money.
Yeah.
Now
Now
you
I
have
gotta
to
get the most
concern
money.
yourself with having the most money
Yeah.
in order to have the best healthcare, something that you want that's very important to you. They've commoditized that,
Mhm.
and now you're stuck into doing something that you don't want to do. How do I know you're doing something you don't want to do? Because 80% of people hate their job.
Yeah, that's a real life stat. And you can ask yourself that right now. Even if you don't hate your job, you don't love it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, fuck, forget hate. Do you love your job?
Or
No.
let's just ask a real question to quantify that for you. If money was no problem, would you do your job for free?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And most people would say no.
No, the only reason that you're doing your job, most people are doing their job. The only reason they're doing it is because, number one, they need to because
Yeah.
their money. But
It's
also,
lack of access.
there is dignity in work.
Yeah.
And but most people, if you ask them what they want to do with their life, they're not going to say what they're doing currently as a job.
No.
It's because even though, yeah, we don't want to take, jobs do give dignity, and human beings innately want to contribute to society. That's what you want to do more than anything else.
Yeah.
Some people actually make money, that the money they need, doing what it is that they love to do, and contributing in the way that they want to contribute. But true happiness does not come from the money part. It comes from the fact that they're doing something that they feel like they were born to do, or feel like and they feel like they're contributing to society.
Absolutely.
So
Well, you can't discount the money for happiness, though.
yeah, you can.
No, you can't, because it's not money. Here's what I'm saying. You can take all the most cliche sayings that you could think of. Money doesn't buy love. Money doesn't buy happiness. Blah, 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 right? Yes. The reason why they're cliche is because they're like foregone conclusions, because most people understand that you know deep down, like, yeah, I know the money that's not what makes me happy. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't get up it's what the money can buy, right?
Right.
It's what the money can provide.
You don't wake
that
up
makes
and
you
rub
happy.
money all over yourself saying I'm happy. You take the money and you go buy what makes you
You
happy.
go buy.
See, the thing
that's
is-
what I'm saying. Well, that's what I'm saying. You can't discount the happiness of money because in a country where we see the 1% exponentially make money on the sweat of our brow, even the money that we get now is not making anyone happy. Like imagine you work $13 an hour for a couple of years, and then you get bumped up to $16 an hour. You work for another couple of years, you get bumped up to $18 an hour. At the end of the day, if the company goes bankrupt, you don't have any of that money.
Yeah.
You don't have any of that anymore. But that person that was running that company, that owned that company, they still get to walk away with potentially a golden parachute. They get to potentially walk away with no losses on their part. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So they have security and you don't. That's what I'm
That's
saying.
the happy. Like that's what's like.
The working class, we don't have security. So
Right.
the important thing is to set up the system to where we have security. That's really all. Like for us, that's what we talk about all the time. Is like, how do we change the system to make it to where, hey man, look, you can eat, I can eat. I can have somewhere to live. You can have somewhere to live. They can have somewhere to live. They can eat. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
that's what we want the system to be more equitable.
And for you high achievers, if that's what gets you floats your boat, you can still go make $1 million.
Yeah,
by all means.
Yeah, by all means.
Capitalism wants you to go out.
But if you go out there and you take that chance, and you try to make that $1 million and you fail,
I still want you.
we still want you to be taken care of. I don't want you to
health
lose your
insurance.
shirt. I don't want you to lose your shirt.
Yeah.
Right. If you're working for somebody right now and you're in your job and you're not happy what you're doing, you want to start your own business, you have a great idea. See, the thing is that's supposed to be capitalism, supposed to facilitate that, right?
Yeah.
But most people's health insurance, for instance, is
tied to their job.
tied to their job. So the moment that they quit their job, now their health
Their
insurance
insurance.
becomes unaffordable. The company will still sell you health insurance. It's just at way more your gut, and you don't have a job that's supplementing that pay.
Your job subsidizes.
So now you're in a position where, dang, I really wish I could start my own business, but I don't have the capital to start my own business because I have the drive, I have the desire, but I can't get out of this job because as soon as I leave this job, my kids don't have health insurance. I might risk it for myself,
You're right.
but my
You're right.
kids don't have health insurance.
The worst part about it, and it's that was something that I was taking from the show as well. Listen to Princess, you did a great job, by the way.
Thank you, appreciate that.
One of the things that I took from one of the gentlemen on the panel was it's a mind state or it's a mindset.
Yeah.
And I get aggravated when I hear that because what you just said in front of the people is 100% on point. You can have the mindset of a winner all day long, but if you ain't got the tools to play the game fairly, you're probably not going to win.
Yeah.
Right.
And we've seen people that are underachievers at the game win because they have better tools and equipment.
Yeah, they came into it with
They already had it. Going back to what you said when we started this conversation, like if no one's gonna be broke that's born into a rich family. Rupert Murdoch may say he ain't. Bill Gates has even said, "I signed over all my money on charitable donations, or whenever I die, and my kids will get nothing." Do we really believe that?
Yeah,
I don't.
I do.
Well, I believe that they've already gotten a lot of what's coming to them.
I agree with it.
But think about it like
imagine
this.
if you sock that away. Even if you don't, like you have the Gates name. Nowhere, like no one you're going to go to that's in the field of technology isn't going to give you at least a fair shot because the tools of your name give you that open door.
Yeah.
So even if you don't give them the generational wealth you've accumulated, the name and the reputation that you build for yourself is going to precede you no matter what.
And the whole thing is, I don't think they must not look at, I mean, generational wealth is just basically the term generational. When you put generational in front of the term wealth, it means that it's going to be something that you leave after you die.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be something that benefits you in any kind of way. You're going to be dead. But it's just the thing is that when you connect again, the connection that capitalism has made, where they take what makes people happy and they commoditize that and connected a value to that thing. If I want my family to be happy after I die, I think that I have to make sure that I provide the capital to provide for those things so that they're not struggling to get the same kind of happiness that I had to struggle to get.
Yeah.
And so that's a cycle. So now that's why people are striving for generational wealth.
Yeah.
They don't want to just be wealthy enough to live a life where they're happy. They want to live a life where they can actually guarantee to at the best of their ability after their death, the happiness of their children as well. And I'm going to let you know that doesn't work.
Yeah, it's hard. It's not
for most people. It's not that the system is not designed to make you wealthy, make most people wealthy. It's designed to make a certain percentage of people wealthy
Yep.
at the expense of other people.
Yep.
Because and so basically what we will hear with generational wealth and people saying, why you should get generational wealth or how you should get generational wealth. Let's talk about starting your own business and things of that nature. Now, or if someone doesn't have generational wealth or hasn't accumulated generational wealth, it must be because they're lazy or there's something wrong with them. But let me
No. You have a poor man's mentality.
Right. But let me pose this to you. For every wealthy man that buys a new car, there was somebody in a factory that put it together.
Yep.
You can't eliminate that job. If you're going to eliminate that job, you eliminate cars. And then you wealthy people will have no cars to buy. Someone had to put it together. If you live in a big house and you have a big lawn, somebody's going to manicure your lawn. You're going to have gardeners and things of that nature. Those people aren't going to be generationally rich, but they're not lazy by any stretch of the imagination. You can't eliminate those things. So basically, what we need to do is make sure that no matter what someone decides to do with their life, that they're well taken care of. Because we need the gardener, we need the person that builds the car as much as we need the car. We need the gardener as much as we need the lawn, and we need the you know what I mean. Yeah. We need those things. If you go into the restaurant, there's going to be someone that serves you. If you go to Starbucks to get a coffee, someone has to be working in Starbucks in order to serve you. And so basically, if you want those things to remain, you can't tell everybody should just be an entrepreneur, because basically what you'll be doing is you'll be eliminating the possibility of a lot of the things that you use every day.
Yeah. And that's what I hear all the time. People float those ideas out there because they know that in that moment, like, you don't really have a comeback for that if you think about it, right? Because it's like, okay, like I'm not gonna if you say to me personally, here's another thing too I want to address. So when we talk about this, we're not talking about this for us, right? Like when I talk about like that most poor people aren't going to achieve generational wealth, I'm not saying that I'm not struggling. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like that's not what it's about. Like I'm by no stretch of the imagination rich or wealthy or anything like that. But I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm fine. You know what I'm saying? And I'll be fine. There are people who are way worse off than me though. The average American household brings in is like $59,000 a year. You know what I'm saying? Household. So that's mama and daddy together, right? $59,000 a year. That's not that much money. You can't survive on that with the family at all in America.
Absolutely.
Right?
So not in California anyway.
Definitely not in California. So when I'm talking, but I'm just putting this out there. It's like, but I'm doing better than that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm not below the poverty line. I'm not like, so when people come to me and be like, well, the reason why you care about that is because you're broke, that shows me that they lack the empathy. Right. Because they can't understand how can a person want to fix problems that don't or is this passionate about fixing problems that aren't directly related to them. Right. You know what I'm saying? And then on the flip side, they also don't see how these things are directly related to them. Even if you do have a little money in your pocket. You know what I'm saying? If you do have a little money in your pocket, imagine, just follow me. Imagine if you didn't have to pay, you could cut your healthcare costs by 50, 60%. Imagine that. Imagine you don't have to worry about going bankrupt because you get sick. Or because you don't have to worry about if you break your leg, your job firing you. Right. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. Or you not being able to go to work for 2 or 3 or 4 months. You still got money. You know what I'm saying? The system is going to still help you and still make sure that, you get back on your feet and yada, yada, yada. Imagine a system where you don't have to pay for healthcare, for childcare. Imagine a system where you could send your kids to a good school, or you can send your little child to pre-K and they getting quality pre-K. You don't got to send them to some random ABC daycare where they're getting fucking ignored for 6 hours or
put into a fucking what was that the fight club for toddlers?
Yeah, like, getting abused and getting yelled at and getting spat. Yeah, that's a real thing. So you're putting your kids in harm's way. You know what I'm saying? So imagine that. Imagine being able to go on a vacation being able to go on 6 week, get six weeks of leave time for your job and not get fired. Imagine being a woman and having a child and being able to stay to take care of that child for a year and not have to go to work, but also not have to worry about your job firing you. You see what I'm saying? These things go way further than your money. You and I money, like if we had these services in place, think about the money think about that in real dollars and cents. You know what I'm saying? So if I had all these programs set up, instead of you spending $1,500 a month on childcare, you don't have to spend $1,500 a month on childcare. It's coming out of your taxes, right? But we're already paying a bunch of taxes, so we shouldn't have to pay that much more in taxes. We should just reallocate the money, right? So imagine if you're paying relatively the same amount of taxes, but you have healthcare, you have childcare, you have daycare, you have night care, you got swim care, you got whatever the hell care, you got all the cares covered. You got vacation time. Your job is paying you a living wage. You got somewhere to live. If you don't got somewhere to live now, or you're living in a safe neighborhood, or you were living in a bad neighborhood, but now you're living in a safe neighborhood because everybody got something to eat, and everybody and everybody has access to an education, and everybody don't got to go to the army or the military, and everybody don't have to shoot a basketball or rap or whatever, you know what I'm saying, or deal drugs or whatever to make a way, right? Imagine that. Imagine how much money that would be in your pocket. That seems like, it feels like everybody could be wealthy in a way. You know what I'm saying?
Here's the thing. When a country is made up, when a country's economy is 70% consumer spending, domestic consumer spending, you have to want your people to at least attain personal wealth for themselves. Even if we get away from generational wealth, if you're at least helping the people that are currently a part of the workforce now. I mean, the workforce is what, 20 to 70? I mean, because retirement age, of course, is now not 62 anymore. It's up to 70.
Yeah, 70, 68.
So if you're talking 20 to 70, that's 50 years. If you're telling me you can't help people in your country in 50 years develop a way to continue the largest part of your economy, as a country, you're short-sighted. And we understand, I mean, as much as we talk about the bourgeoisie, as much as we talk about social democracy, which we'll talk about in a second, one of the most important tenets that I see now is that the 1% do not return the fair amount of money that the poor are putting in for the same resources.
Absolutely.
Because it's not like if I'm rich, I'm going to go into Morton's and eat a steak that ain't come from a cow that you ain't going to go to Stater Brothers and buy a $7 steak from. It's the same things. We're not too much different. The difference is the fact that one is being held to an accountability level that they can't get away from. We don't have a choice about taxes.
Yeah.
There's never been a day that we can say, I'm not going to pay my income taxes on my check this month. You know why? Because you don't write your check. You get your check.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The taxes out automatically.
And so
you claim zero, though.
Even when you claim zero, at the end of the year, if you make too much money, they know who you are by your Social Security number. They're gonna come and tax you for it.
They get that money.
So when we're looking at like when we talk about one of the things that I was really kind of annoyed with when I hear people always say, "Oh, you're lazy, you're this, you're that." Work for 20 years and not even be able to break even, and you watch somebody who worked for the same 20 years just because they had a silver spoon.
Yeah.
Not have a worry in the world. Y'all do the same fucking job.
That a head start. Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's not even that. It's just like that you're contributing just like they're contributing.
Right.
So you should, there are certain things that are rights, human rights that we have, right? I don't believe that anybody should have to live outside if they don't want to. I'm sorry, I just want to tell you. So last night, I went to the store, right? Went to the store, it was late. It was like 10 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night. I went to the store. And I came out the store. I paid for my shit. And I came out the store and I heard somebody coughing. And it was cold last night. It was like it was
30s, 40s.
It was 40s at like 9. It was pretty cold. So I come out the store and I hear somebody coughing. And I look over and it's a homeless person like gathering their stuff. And I don't know what they were doing, but you could tell he was like, I don't know if he was getting ready to take a bath, one of the carts or something like that. But he had like all the stuff by a cart and by the bench. And he had all the things in the world that he owned sitting on his bench. And I know he was cold. He had on shorts and no socks. And he was cold. I know for a fact he was cold. He was coughing like he was sick, like something was wrong with him. And now for me, it did something to me, and I see homeless people all the time. We all see homeless people all the time, but there's these like moments of clarity where you're just like, dude, that is really egregious.
Mm-hmm.
That's that should not be happening. Like and I'm like, this is California in December, in January, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's 40 degrees, 30 degrees. That's cold, bro. What about Minnesota?
Chicago?
What about Chicago? What about New York? You see what I'm saying?
Man,
people are freezing to death all the time.
People freezing to death, man. I don't like how can we as a society like act like that is like every day that's fine when there are people who are worth billions, hundreds of millions. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And those people who are sick and who are on the street, at some point in time, maybe not right now, but at some point in time, they contributed to society. A lot of them are ex-military people, first and foremost. A good percentage of them are ex-military people. And I'm not any fan of the military, but I'm just talking about real.
I'm talking about the people that are serving. I'm not a fan of.
Yeah, I'm a fan of
respect
troops.
the people that serve.
Yeah, the troops are the troops. They're people just like you and me. So I'm just talking about the troops. They work a job. Like, you know what I'm saying?
They're working class people.
They're working class people. Whatever that job is, if it's going across, I don't care what it is. They work the job. They contributed. Somebody got wealthy off of their production.
Absolutely.
Therefore, they are owed bare minimum healthcare, a place to live, somewhere to eat, clean food. You know what I'm saying? Like these things are just
that's an indictment on the Veterans Administration.
No. That's an indictment on our society, our world.
True. That's not. I mean, like, being the VA is a government funded program.
Well, the VA does. The VA is actually well run. The VA is actually well run, especially since the maybe about 5 or 6 years ago there was an expose in the VA. They have actually revamped the whole thing.
Better.
They've done a great job. And that's mostly. But the thing is that with the VA, they get free healthcare. Period. But this is what I would say. But this is what I'm saying. This is a good segue. This is a good segue into social democracy. Okay, because people, the next question you're going to get from people
is how.
How? Well, Jack, what do you think? Because the thing about capitalism and the way that is not just capitalism isn't just an economic system in America. It's an ideology.
It's a religion.
It has been an ideology that has been preached from the mountaintops, in America from the moment that you're born. You're enveloped in it. You're wrapped in it. It's your warm blanket. It's your house. It's where you know what I mean. It's where you go to school. It's at your doctor's office. It's where you go when you go to sleep at night. It is everything. Yeah. Capitalism is the way, and anything that opposes capitalism or anything that undermines the effectiveness of capitalism, those viewpoints are often eliminated. Yeah. Not even ridiculed. They don't even take the time to do that. They're eliminated from the conversation. And if you just relied on things like the media and things of that nature. Now, most people that learn about other things other than capitalism, they're usually college students. That's why when you see among college students and thinking academia, a lot of those people are anti-capitalist, or at least to some extent moving toward a post-capitalist type of economic system. Capitalism. But people that are ingrained in this capitalist system, they would say, look, capitalism works for me. I've got everything that I need. I might not even be a rich person, but I think I can be a rich person one day. Yeah. And capitalism is the best way to ensure that I could possibly be rich one day, so that I can live the American dream. So they lie, which is a lie, right? Yeah. But let's say, okay, well, hotshot, how can I make sure that I can still have economic stability, which you still need economic stability, no matter what, okay? But at the same time, be a humane person. How can we have both? Because if some people win, some other people got to lose. That's what capitalism teaches you. Yeah. But what if I told you that there was a better way? What if I told you that there are other economic systems out there? And that perhaps if you looked into them, you would see something that allows you to not only gain capital, but also to maintain some type of humanity, that humanity and and actually be connected to the things that you produce and actually get what you're worth for your value in the market.
Hmm.
Well, that is what social democracy is all about. Social democracy um, is about equity and justice. Okay. And it starts off with rights. And since we're in America right now, I'm going to start talking about American rights and rights as Americans. Okay. So, one thing that people don't really realize about rights is that there's two types of rights when we're talking about human rights. We're talking about negative rights and we're talking about positive rights. Negative rights are the rights of where things that the government cannot infringe upon: freedom of speech, right? Freedom of press in America, right?
Hmm.
So we have those type of things. Freedom to of religion or freedom from religion. Those are rights in America that the government cannot infringe upon. The government can't tell you to shut up. You know what I mean? You can say whatever you want, really. You know, there's consequences, but you can say whatever you want. But what if your rights what if you didn't have there's rights that correspond to those negative rights that allow your negative rights to be in fulfillment. Positive rights are things the government must do to ensure negative rights. So for instance, your freedom to speech. But if you can't do you truly have freedom of speech if you can't limitlessly pursue the development of your own ideas? No. So anywhere that freedom of speech is important, there will also be freedom of education. Education will be a right as well. Because if someone is not properly educated, they cannot properly speak.
Articulate,
They cannot articulate the limit. They can't go to the limits of where their brain can take them.
So, and also, you made the very, very eloquent point the other day to me. You were saying that the freedom of speech is also the freedom to hear,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. Freedom to speech is also the freedom to hear things. So when you see a government that basically controls things like the media, so you have to have the freedom of press when you have the freedom of speech. Go hand in hand.
Hmm.
Because when the media changes the scope of certain conversations and leaves out certain parts and certain perspectives and uses their power to silence certain perspectives, then you're not able to make proper decisions or to speak out or to agree with the things that you really feel in your heart because you don't have all the options. You don't have all the information available to you. And that's one thing that the US government does to limit freedom of speech. They know that there's only going to be so many things that people are going to say because there's only so many things that people
Here.
are here or able to explore.
Hmm.
And so they do that in order to control the scope of a certain conversation. That's why we're talking about Medicare for all, like, and people are asking if it's too far left. When you go to somewhere like Great Britain and they have the whole healthcare system is controlled by the government.
Yeah,
That's really the left.
yeah.
Does the government control the
The
entire
entire
healthcare system?
yeah. Doctors, nurses,
Right.
everything.
Medicare for all is the middle where the government allows the private sector to actually administer the means of production
Yeah.
of the healthcare
So,
system,
so,
but the government pays for it.
so I want to explain it because I think because even hearing that I had a hard time understanding, but I got what you were saying. So that is basically saying like if you go to school, if you want to go to school and become a doctor, you could go to school, become a doctor, and open up your own practice.
Mhm.
The people that are going to pay you though is going to be the government. Where you're going to get the money from, like if you come to like I'm a doctor, you come to me, I help Robert out. I administer, whatever medicine or whatever the case may be. I see him or whatever, and now I have to charge somebody. I'm not going to charge Robert. I'm going to charge the government. That's what right now. That's what we're pushing for in America. But in Great Britain, the doctors work for the government. There is no, you know what I'm saying? Like there is no private, like, I'm just gonna.
There's a Ministry of Health, is what they call it. They call it the Ministry of Health, if I'm not mistaken.
It's the National Health Service, NHS.
Yeah, the NHS. Okay. Yeah. So if you want to be in the healthcare industry, you have to work for or with however you want. You know what I'm saying?
The NHS,
With the NHS.
Well, has their own training programs,
Yeah,
and
pretty sure
they do the
I'm pretty
training.
sure
You can go to a private college if you'd like, but they do have public universities there that train people for the NHS.
But I'm pretty sure it's regulated by how you test in, which is typically how you can even work or you can get a government contract.
Well, it's like becoming a doctor, like in America. It's the same thing. They have standards. You meet the standards and you get in.
I want to read this. So Tyrone, what's up? What's up, man? Tyrone says the issue is getting everybody to buy into a social democracy.
Absolutely. And you know what? The whole thing is we can't have the socialism part. We can't have that without the democracy. We've seen socialism without democracy. It's
Nazi
destruction.
Germany.
It's Nazi Germany.
No.
It's Stalin. It's
Yeah.
Lenin. It's destructive.
Yeah.
And we don't
Chinese.
want that. And that's the beauty of a social democracy. We only give the power of production over to the public for the things that we want them to have, that the people have agreed upon. And that's what makes it so beautiful. That means we don't have to go all the way to eliminate the free market where, government controls because think about it like this. When you go to work, it's not a democracy. You have a boss, what your boss says goes. Now, if you take that boss away and you put the government in and the government controls the means of production, now it's just another boss.
It's another boss.
So that means socialism itself in that experiment has to evolve because it's not really getting the equity and the justice and the things that we want, right?
Here's the thing. One of the things that I like to see, like companies like Winco or Costco, things like that, we've seen the experiment of social democracy at work, even in capitalism as it speaks, where we have employee-owned businesses.
Mm-hmm.
These are businesses that don't have a CEO that gets to come in and just say, "Hey, Rob, you're fired today." We as employees can all band up and be like, "Well, no, we need to go through the due processes to get it." It's almost like you're in a union.
Well, no. Those people, not Winco. Costco though.
No, Winco's employee-owned too.
Are they? I'm saying, but are they union?
No.
Costco is union.
Yeah.
Costco is union. They have union. It depends on each building decides for themselves.
Okay.
They have union buildings. They have non-union buildings.
But even still, the company itself is employee owned.
Right.
That's their model. And the reason that it's a very interesting experiment when you're talking about social democracy to look at those type of corporations is because one, they haven't failed. Costco has not failed as a business because
it's actually year over year the number one place, to work
over Sam's Club
in America, year by year by year.
Yeah. Same thing with Winco. If you don't know, I think Piggly Wiggly is involved with them in the East Coast and just in the South, but Aldi's another one of the companies that started that kind of movement too. But my point is, we see the experiment of social democracy working within a capitalistic frame.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not like we're just clutching at straws here, trying to push ideas.
It's not idealistic. It actually is.
It's actually realistic and it's actually implemented.
Yeah, and it's better.
You don't ever hear anybody that if you ever run across people out there, if you guys have ever run into a person that works at Costco, ask them how they feel about their job.
I knew somebody that worked at Costco for like 20 years.
Yeah.
Going back to what you said about loving their job, they may not like their job, but they like what their job does.
They feel good about it.
They feel like they get a great return, and it's actually not a bad place to work.
No, it's not. Now, I want to say this though, to Tyrone's question, or to his point though. He said that you gotta make the people. I mean, no, that you have to make the people. He said the issue is getting everybody to buy into social democracy. To me, that could be the issue.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like that's the issue when you look at the numbers though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because when you look at things like favoritism or favorability for certain social programs, they're sky high.
Absolutely.
So people already bought into it, whether they know it or not. If you want to put it into a word or into a phrase and call it social democracy, then so be it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you leave that, if you omit that from the conversation and just ask the people, do you want A, B, C, and D? They'll be like, yes, we want healthcare, we want blah, blah, blah. You want all these social programs are sky high in America.
Right.
Over 60%, 70%.
Wouldn't be this big of a talking issue in this year's debate.
Right.
They know that.
Your point, Prince, is spot on. When you take the actual label off of the jar here, they want what's in the jar, and that's the thing. You know what I mean? So it's
that blind taste
take
test, like remember the blind taste test with Coke and Pepsi,
right?
Like literally, if I don't tell you what's in these cans,
you're gonna choose what you like the best,
tastes better.
right? To you, truly. So when you're talking about that social democracy, there's people that are raised in this capitalist framework
South, or it's like in Georgia and things like that. I've been down south.
It's like Winco.
But yeah, there's people that have been raised in this capitalist framework that if you mention, and they're conservatives, and if you mention anything about social democracy, socialism, democratic socialism, any of those things, they'll automatically shut off and they don't want to talk to you about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and they don't want to agree with anything that you're saying. But if you say, but look at Medicaid. Medicaid is very popular across the entire country. Medicare is super popular across the entire country. What is it? Social Security is
Social
the most
Security.
popular program in
Absolutely.
America that the government does. The U.S. Postal
USPS,
Service,
yeah.
which, by the way, the U.S. Postal Service does not take any taxpayer money. Doesn't take any taxpayer money. So
the
don't.
USPS is also now privately owned.
No, it's not.
No.
No, it's ran by the government, but they don't take taxpayer money.
Right.
because
It's not privately owned though. It's
not privately owned.
stamps are what pays for the USPS.
Yeah.
And you know
Whatever.
and
pay for your
postage.
package and get
Right.
postage, yeah.
Amtrak.
Yeah.
Amtrak is also, you know, those things. So when you're thinking about these type of programs, things that are never going away, no one ever even talks about them going away. They're universal. Everyone can use them. Everyone can do it.
Yeah.
Those are the most popular programs in the country.
And to me, they're shitty. You know what I'm saying? Like they could be way better. You know what I mean? Like on the scale of things, they should be way better. Like Social Security, they've been cutting Social Security forever.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
Well,
Like Social Security isn't like the best. Like it's the best. It's the best that we got. So it's, you know what I mean? Like people love it because they're like comparing it to anything else here. Yeah, it's the dopest. You know what I'm saying? Medicaid, same thing. It's the dopest. But I'm saying that even these programs could be way better than they are.
When you look at like Social Security, 2049, I think, 2030 or 2048, 2049, that's the year where they imagine that the Social Security fund is done. Because we've taken money, like, well, not we, but our government has taken money.
Yeah, they bled it.
And used it for other, like, if there was a vault we could put right in front of us, you open it up, it's full of IOUs.
Yeah.
Because we'll pay you back for this. And that is the problem with capitalism, because there's no oversight for the people. This isn't about like when I talk about Social Security, I'm very upset with our country. I'm very disappointed in our country because this is money that they take out of young and old's check.
Yeah, everybody.
It doesn't matter whether I'm 50 about to go into retirement. It doesn't matter if I'm 18 and I just started my first job. Hell, I can be 16, not even an adult, and I'm still going to get wrapped for Social Security.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, you're telling me at a certain point, I'm not even going to have access.
And they keep pushing the age up. Like
that's what I'm saying. The retirement age is now 70.
Yeah, my mom is like 60. My mom is 62. And I remember she's 25 years older than me. She turned 63 this year, but she's 62 right now. And I remember she was telling me about getting Social Security. I remember that. I remember her talking to me about it. She was like, because she wanted to retire. My mom been working for like most people's parents. My mom been working since she was 14 years old. Like, and my mom has had a job literally from 14 to freaking 60. Like she's worked well beyond her. She's done enough. You know what I'm saying? Even at 60, she's done enough.
I've done more than she should have.
No, for sure. That's what I'm saying. Even at 60, she's done. Like I don't care if it's her age. Screw that. I'm talking about the year she's worked. It's over. Like she put in more than enough time. She should have more than enough money in her Social Security to retire. They were like, no. If you take the money out now, you're going to lose 25% of it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Or,
like you're playing with people's lives, and that's. But if you're a Donald Trump who's 77, I was arguing with this dude earlier. He was like, well, he was rich and he did his hard work, and whatever the case may be, he's older than the retirement age. The person that was talking to me was saying, well, he did his hard work to set himself up for his future. How can you be mad at a person who makes all of their money before they become a president and they get to walk away from it, and they didn't take zero, or they took no money for their presidency? First of all, you can't do that. It's a job. You can't tell them you don't want your salary.
Well, he donates his salary.
Yeah, you can't donate.
Fair enough, but you can't not get it. Like the person's thought process was, he did all of this work as the president.
You mean he's technically still getting paid, whether he does with the money? Yeah, he's getting paid. Yeah.
Now, if he's getting taxed on Social Security dollars, his salary is much more than your mom's salary, my mom's salary.
Talk about real quick. This is gonna be a sidebar before I forget this. Is there a possibility that the reason he doesn't want the money is so he doesn't have to open up his tax returns? Like, could it
Could
be?
be.
It's a possible.
Is it something like that? Because it just doesn't.
That's possible. I just take it.
I
I
would
mean, I
imagine-
just take it at face value. He donates it.
He donates it. Yeah,
Whatever.
No, I just thought
Who
about
gives
that
a-
right
like,
now.
who
I
cares?
don't care. I'm
I
just
get what
curious.
you
Yeah.
mean. I know like that's a very good question.
For me,
because
I-
he has
it's
been
all-
dodging giving out them taxes
For me,
returns,
it's
and that
all.
would be a
For me,
great
it's
way
all
for
optics.
leverage,
For
you
me,
know?
it's all optics anyway. He donates it. So what?
But my point, I guess, to get back to is there
That's a
should
good-
be no reason that as an American citizen with a social security number, that at a certain point that social security number will be bankrupt. That is an account number. Whether or not the government wants to own up to that,
Yeah.
we are all literal walking accounts for the government. That's why they tax us. That's
Yeah.
how they make quote unquote programs go forward. But again, like you say, whenever I talk to somebody about social democracy or even just socialism on a whole, is we're living in a time where we vote people in to not tell us what they're doing. We're hiring officials to keep secrets from us. And that is the problem that the American public has. That's why we don't trust our government. Is because, hey, you'll come out and make 1,000 promises on the campaign trail. Then as soon as you get elected, shit goes sideways. And we're all sitting here like, wait a minute.
Well,
Wait,
the signs are there. It's not the government is owned by the private sector, not by the citizens. It's
Absolutely.
it's owned by big business. That's the problem with.
You ain't never lied.
That's the problem with our system is that we have allowed the government to be bought and paid for by the private
Tax
private
lobbyists, all of that.
business sector. So legalized bribery takes place every day in the American government. That's the problem with the American government. Tyrone said that he doesn't trust the American government to do, to execute the things that we're proposing, and you don't have to trust the government. That's the thing. That's the concept we have to get out of our brains, is that we need to trust the government. You don't have to trust the government. You have to hold them accountable.
That's
Right.
my point.
That's all you have to do. You don't got to
Spot
trust
on,
them.
Pete.
All you got to do is hold them accountable. It don't matter if you think he's a good politician or he's a mover and a shaker and he was dirty before. And I don't give a. Who cares?
Can you get the
Get
the job done?
Hold their feet to the fire.
Right. Can you get the job done without me having to smoke your ass out of office because
Yeah,
you're doing the wrong thing?
hold their feet to the fire. Hold them accountable, and the rest will take care of itself. I personally don't concern myself. I personally don't concern myself with if a politician is good or not. If I have the right politician, like definitely you need somebody, you need an ally in there, right? And there are enough allies in there, but really we wouldn't even need an ally if we banded together. We could get them to change without, you know what I'm saying? Like just as the government is constituted right now, right? Like even with Mitch McConnell and whoever else is in the government, the Nancy Pelosi's, the Chuck Schumer's, whoever, right? If we were to hold them accountable, if the people in Nancy Pelosi's district in San Francisco banded together and
Liberal or not?
yeah, I'm just saying
Liberal or
if
not,
they
it
came
doesn't matter.
together and 10,000 people went to her office, you know what I'm saying? It was like, dude, you need to pass this bill for X, Y, and Z. We want a gun control bill or whatever liberals are concerned with, right? They want a gun control bill. They want gay rights or whatever the heck it is. If 10,000 of them, the people in her district banded together, they can go to her office and she will capitulate, or she will be out,
or she's out.
That's the long and the short of it.
That's the one thing about. That's the other beautiful thing that I love about talking about social democracy as well. This impeachment is it's going to put on trial the very basis of capitalism as it was.
Yeah,
Because literally you're gonna have senators that are gonna have to get on their dais and say, hey, we're either gonna go with the money or we're gonna go with the truth. And whether or not they do what they do, the people will have to say at the ballot box over whether they're going to allow the status quo to remain the status quo.
Mhm.
So it's not like we're even talking about an idealistic that isn't going to have to come to fruition regardless. Like people are talking about social democracy or socialism, like we are going to have to find a way to that crossroads either way. And at 2020, this is that time. Because either if you as a person believe that you're getting a fair shake while your representative whether it's in the Senate or the House of Representatives, is disavowing the truth of things, or they're not looking at. They don't have your best interest at heart. Period. Because they're not even voting with what you believe in. You believe in what they're doing. They don't anymore because they know that they have to toe the line. And that's the accountability that we as people need to start holding our representatives to. Yeah. And the only way we can do that is with social democracy, because with capitalism, you don't have a say without money.
Well, I think that even if we're talking about, because I don't want, because basically, yeah, if we're talking about the end of capitalism, you're talking about going into socialism in earnest, and you're talking about like a democratic socialism. When you're talking about a social democracy, you're not talking about the end of free market. So but one of the so but what we'll have to do is, whether we go to social democracy or not, it's obvious that we need to take money out of politics. Even if we stay, you know what, even if we stay in a capitalist economic system, we have to eliminate money from politics.
And you also could have the system doesn't have to even be a democratic socialist system to have healthcare for all. That's not
absolutely not.
You can have those things in a capitalist system.
There's plenty of places that
have it. So, but we believe that we want to take it a step further. We do believe in social democracy because we believe that on your job as well, more so than the government,
right?
More so than the government, or no, equal. I don't want to say more so because government has a lot of control. Equal to as far as your happiness is concerned, we want you to have a say so at your job where you work.
Absolutely.
I want your vote to count on your job, just like I want your vote to count in the government. I want it to be. I want both of those things should go hand in hand with one another. How do you have all this control in the government, right? One man, one vote, and our votes are important. Mm-hmm. Even in this messed up system, our votes still count.
Right.
They still count. Now, they don't count one for one. That's the difference. A lot of people think your vote counts one for one. If we're grading on the curve, Ohio votes count more than California votes.
Absolutely.
Right? Minnesota votes
politically
count more.
Yeah.
Politically. I'm sorry, not Minnesota. Michigan votes count more. Pennsylvania votes count more than our votes. Montana, Florida. Those votes count more than our votes. Virginia, those votes count more than our votes.
Because those are states. No, those are states that are up for grabs.
Yeah.
And basically our state is blue.
Yeah, our state is blue because it is dominated by minorities, by the way.
And it's double and it's double digit.
California has not mattered to a presidential election until Obama came into
it's double digit blue. It's double digit blue. There's a lot of cities and stuff out here too. You know what I mean? A lot of metropolitan areas.
But hold on, we're talking about that's if we're talking on a national scale, by the way. If we're talking local governments, though, you're talking about like city and county. Oh, Orange County is extremely red.
Well, but no, they're actually the only two counties that are like very red.
Yeah.
In California, because I looked this up, I was just curious. It's San Bernardino County and Riverside County.
Yeah. I was gonna say the IE, but
San Bernardino County and Riverside County.
But Orange County has a lot of red.
San Bernardino County due to intense voter suppression.
Yes, exactly. Because they got
intense voter suppression in San Bernardino County.
Anywhere
any county in the United States, so that's just
anywhere poor people exist, voter suppression it will follow.
So intense voter suppression and gerrymandering, and has in California makes it look a lot even more even than it is. But on a national, it's always no doubt we'll have red governors, we'll have blue governors, and we'll have a lot of red congressmen and blue congressmen. But when it comes to national elections, we vote blue generally all the time. So people aren't concerned about our state.
Yeah.
The Republicans aren't concerned about winning our state on the national level, on the presidential level. But they are concerned with states like Michigan, because Michigan sometimes is red, sometimes is blue. Ohio, sometimes red, sometimes blue. And Ohio has voted with the winner of the presidency for the past 100 and something years.
Michigan actually hadn't been red since the 70s.
Right.
I want to say. Like they were.
Matter of fact, when Obama
but it was
won
always
that
up to. It was
in
always close.
2012.
Yeah,
It was always close.
It was always like a threat.
But it was a blue state
But it was been a blue state.
until last time.
It's been a blue state right before Jimmy Carter. Like so, pretty much right before Jimmy Carter, it was like blue, and it's been blue ever since then. Tyrone says maybe the country as a whole has bought into the struggle as a status quo mindset.
I don't know if I agree
Absolutely.
with that. Absolutely. I don't know if I agree with that, only because we're seeing more people learning that going to work for themselves is the answer as opposed to working for stagnant wages. More people are trying to.
I don't know, man. I'm not seeing all these entrepreneur Negroes.
I see people that want to be. Everybody I know wants to start a business.
Yeah. That it's a lot of black people doing it, but I will say that I do see.
I'm talking about Americans in general. I
see the entrepreneurial spirit coming back into America a lot more so than I did before. Maybe in 2000 even.
Well, this is what entrepreneurial spirit never left America. But let me tell you something. But let me tell you something. It's still a fact. 90% of businesses fail within the first year. And that's because capitalism is not just about capitalism doesn't just affect people on a personal level. It affects businesses on a business level because it's all about competition. If I told you I'm going to go buy a cell phone, if I'm going to go buy a cell phone, you might not know what kind of cell phone I'm going to buy, but I bet you can narrow down which companies I'm going to go to get one from.
And I got you.
Because it's only a certain amount of people that are allowed to in the game.
But on the fringes is kind of what I call it. It's the on the fringes, guys. It's like, you know what I mean? Like your pop socket dude. He ain't gonna make no money selling cell phones, but made a lot of money selling pop sockets. Or I was reading a couple of stories. There was a guy who worked as a HVAC rep, you know what I mean, here in California. Worked there for about 2-3 years, finally figured out, hey, I'm not making any money even owning my own business. And he decided to start a side e-commerce hustle. Turned around and sold that for $3 billion.
Yeah,
those are outliers. Remember, 90% fail.
It's fringe. I'm talking about fringes. I'm not saying the general population is seeing that. But when you say they're adopted into the struggle, a lot of people, that's
the general population is trapped in their jobs, man, because they don't have help. Like the same reason we just laid out earlier, they can't leave. They're trapped.
But that's why we have those Primerica guys. That's why those people that sell those dreams because they believe, hey, if I could show you how to do it. And we know there's a lot of them out there. We can't deny that that's not the case. It's easier now to feel like.
Wait. Reggie said Social Security is going bad because people are living longer. Baby boomers are coming of age. What is the solution?
No, I'm not talking about that.
Okay. The thing what is living longer has nothing to do with Social Security or whatever. The money is there because people are working. So if you living longer, you working longer too.
Right.
So what's the difference? You're working longer, you're living longer, right? It goes hand in hand.
They keep raising the age of Social Security to make sure you work longer.
Yeah, they keep raising the age, and that's a part of it. The reason why Social Security is going bad is because they're cutting it.
Yes.
That's why. It has nothing to do with people living longer.
Because
the money is there.
The fact it's going bad because the money that you're putting in all the time is being taken and used for other things.
Right. And if you
it's not even like it's just going away. Ask next time you want to talk about Social Security getting cut, ask your representative what's happening with your Social Security dollar. If they can tell you how your money is getting hashed out, you're doing better than almost 99% of America because no one knows where their money's gone since they've been putting it in.
Right. And keep in mind also that it's about when the government gets money from the people, right? It's about priorities. And normally because we get to vote for our representatives, right, in democracy, that it's that we vote for the people that have the same priorities as us, and then those people go and articulate those priorities on the next level. But that's not exactly what's happening. What's happening is that the special interest, when I say special interest, I mean, the business interest, the donor class, those people get their interest met by by your politician, the person that you maybe campaigned for, struggled for, and voted for and got into office. Now that person is serving the interest of a donor of a upper crust donor instead of the people, and we need to. That's why it does start with eliminating the money from capital from politics.
And
When we're talking about social democracy, just like Dee brought up earlier, the important part is that the money that goes into politics needs to come from a public source, and the people need to decide that though for it to happen.
Now I want to now Reggie replied back. He said living longer definitely affects it. How? Where?
How?
State that. Show like. Tell me how or
educate us,
because I don't see how what that has to do with anything.
We really value information.
Keep putting money in the longer you work. I understand what you're trying to say, my guy, but understand this: at a certain point, you have to start collecting on it. You can't go back from that point. So if you start at 62, like they told your mom, Prince, she could say, "All right, I'm gonna take this money, but you know what? This isn't enough. I'm going to go back to work to go try to put more money into Social Security." They're not going to let her do that.
No, once you started,
you're in.
Ticking, yeah, you're in. You can work though. You can get Social Security and work.
You can do all that you want, but you're not going to be able to You're not going to be able to refill your piggy bank.
No,
but you will be paying. But you will be paying Social Security.
You still be paying.
You're paying a Social Security tax.
Now, another reason why Social Security, I won't say that it's running. It doesn't cover the spread. Right, because that's the most important thing I would say. Right, like how, so you're getting X amount of dollars, but you need Y amount of dollars. You know what I'm saying? It's because the cost of living is extremely high. Healthcare. I mean, if you're older, you can get on Medicaid. You know what I'm saying? So,
but even still, your medications go cracky, right?
Yeah, the medications murder.
And I feel like the actual conversation of like why Social Security, the point is that Social Security is a social program that is very popular.
Yeah.
And that that what needs to go, what we're saying is that when they decommodify, because there were people that were getting rich off the fact that old people have certain needs that they couldn't afford. They were taking advantage of old people. And when Social Security came into effect, it immediately lifted 15 million elderly people out of poverty immediately in the 1930s. Now, when we're talking about that, see, the whole point is the people should not see the way that we run things now is called neoliberalism. Okay. Whether you're conservative, don't get caught up on that term, because there's conservatives that are neoliberals as well. Okay. Neoliberalism simply means that you believe that the government and the market should be separate, totally separate, and that the invisible hand of the capitalism, meaning people will choose the best products and the best businesses will get the most money and the worst ones will fall, or the ones that cheat people won't survive because once they're exposed, people will go other places. And like the invisible hand of the market will take care of everything and make it sustainable and make everybody that deserves to be rich, and everybody that deserves to be not rich, poor. And that it should be left alone. And this is something that comes from Adam Smith from back in the days of the Revolutionary. He was an economist back in those days, and he was into laissez-faire capitalism, is what it's called, unfettered laissez-faire capitalism. Now, what social democracy says is that certain things shouldn't be commodified. And that the people get to decide what's commodified and what's not. When I say commodified, is what can you buy and what should be bought and sold and what can't be bought and sold. For instance, since we're talking about healthcare, that's like kind of the order of the day. Should healthcare be bought and sold? Yeah. Right now, or should health insurance be bought and sold? I know that it costs money to take care of someone if they get sick. That's going to cost money. It has a value to it. But should health insurance be bought and sold?
Not on the practice that capitalism has made it use.
And many people do not believe it should. Up until this point, health insurance has been commodified, meaning that people that have money have better health insurance than people that don't. Certain people get a certain level of care depending on their ability to pay. Some people will not get money, get care because they have no money.
And if you have a lot of money, your health care will always be better than those without money, because you can see there's going to be in this system, the system that we were speaking of, not the national health system that the UK has. If it's still privatized, then you better believe that there are going to be some doctors who don't take, insure. Just like right now, there's doctors who don't take insurance that only
that won't take Medicare.
that won't take Medicare.
That won't take Medicaid.
My wife's grandfather got his hip replaced. He didn't get his hip replaced by the doctor at Kaiser.
Right.
He's worth $50 million. That fool went to the best hip replacement person in the world. He didn't even crack it. Normally they crack your hip to replace your hip. They crack it, and they put the new hip in. And this guy that he went to,
He's doing cutting edge surgery.
He's cutting edge surgery. He paid out of pocket. His insurance wouldn't cover it, and the person doesn't take insurance, so he paid out of pocket. He has better health coverage than you and I. No matter what the system would be, he would have access to that. So you can still chase your dreams and get rich and still benefit from being wealthy in this system that we're speaking of. But the point is that a lot of people, when their hip gets cracked, they can't get it covered at all, and they end up going bankrupt because their hip gets cracked and they can't work.
And they
for
still
6
don't
months.
even get the replacement after they go bankrupt.
Yeah, I'm saying no. They get the replacement, right? But you have to cover 20% of the surgery, and the surgery costs $500,000 or whatever. So you have to give up $100,000, and you don't have $100,000, so you end up going bankrupt. That's how people end up going bankrupt from health, even with health insurance. I'm speaking
Or
about
actually walking around with the cane and hurt, and they can't get the surgery.
Yeah,
they get a quick fix
either
of
way,
some sort,
I'm
bandaged up.
I'm going to the people that actually end up getting it. You dig what I'm saying? Because you already know people, they're going to attack it on that. Well, I can get this. Okay, cool. Yes, you have insurance, but you're still responsible for 10, 12, 15, 20%, whatever it is.
Right. It's called a copay.
You're still responsible for your copay, but guess what? You're also still responsible for your premium.
Absolutely.
So then let's just go ahead and knock that down the park to say you still gonna have to pay your premium whether you get that surgery.
Oh yeah, no,
absolutely.
Yeah. The premium could be anywhere between $1,000,
and that's what I'm saying. Like,
you know what I mean?
Well, the average family of four spends $14,000 a year on health insurance premiums. So that's a lot of money for 4 people.
It's like you have people that will go bankrupt without even receiving the surgery because they're spending too much time paying for the treatment, for the appointments, to go ahead and get the consultations, to see the specialists, the things like that, the That's what adds up to getting people at a certain point where your insurance just says you've maxed out. Now you got to come all the way out of pocket for it.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're in a country where you have people like your grandmother that can get a surgery of that kind, I'm not saying you got to cut me up and do me the best way possible. Mm-hmm. Just cut me up. If I need it, it should be an unalienable right for me to receive it. It's not that we don't have the resources to get that done.
Well, inalienable right definitely. It should not be based on your ability to pay for it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, then that's an
I can see if you know it's like this. If I need a lung transplant, but I keep smoking, and my doctor's like, no, I don't have a right to a goddamn lung.
Yeah,
you understand what I'm saying?
But they have clauses.
But it's not my ability, right?
But
I'm saying is that you can't. You get that's why you. But you got to be careful with that, because if not, people will go to court just like that.
You don't smoke,
right?
And I do. Mm-hmm. So even if I had more money than you, and I went for a surgery and they booed me, I couldn't be upset. But if me and you were both on the same level, I just happen to have more money than you, but your lung condition is worse, and I have more money than you, and I get treated first, that's the type of shit that we need to cut out. And it's rewarding the people that have gained a foothold in capitalism at the upper echelons.
Right.
That's the type of shit. When little children are getting bypassed for liver transplants and things like that.
People are buying their way to the top.
Without getting into the minutia, because basically, like you said, we want the people to be able to decide what's commoditized. Health insurance is not something that should be commoditized, right? When we're talking about education, remember, we're talking about freedom of speech, and the government has the requirement to uphold the freedom of speech. You cannot commoditize.
I think the internet shouldn't be commoditized.
I think that they should be working towards making sure the internet is free for everyone. Yeah. You know why? If you want a great guideline for social democracy, it doesn't come out of American politics. Look at the UN's guidelines for what a right is. See, the UN, they give you way more. The internet access is a right in the world. You can't deny, South Korea, these countries that turned off the internet and stuff like that. When they turn off the UN is like, you're not, you can't do. The UN can't really. They're not government. They're an NGO basically. They're not like a punitive.
They're not gonna go.
But
in.
here's
So,
why I say
but they're
They're-
like, look,
they're finger
yeah, they're
wagging.
figuring,
why
but
I
they're
say
like
the
letting you know,
internet
like, wait a minute,
should be
you're not. They'll
privatized.
let you know, like, you can't turn your internet off. You can't deny access to the internet
Oh,
to people.
That's because it's the intranet. There's a difference between the internet and the internet.
No, the
So we have-
internet is the public commons.
Well, no. In China, what they use is an intranet. The reason they use an intranet is because everyone is globally connected to one source. When we use the internet here in America, we're free to go wherever we want and search wherever we want with no parameters, no blocks on it. I mean,
Right.
of course, the feds are knocking on your door if you look up 13-year-old butt naked in the shower. But what I'm saying,
How do you know?
It's happened. It's happened to some people.
Yeah.
It's
But,
happened
uh,
as a friend of mine.
But instead of you having infringements on your internet use or searches, it's now used as evidence. The intranet that they use in China, it's guilty before you even have a chance to see a court. If you look up XYZ in China, you're gonna get nailed for it. There's no questions about it, and there's no recourse for you to fight against it to say this free speech. But that's again when we're talking about the UN giving people their rights.
Yeah.
But the reason that I was saying that I feel that the internet should be privatized is for the same reason I believe that Social Security should be privatized.
You believe those things should be privatized?
George W. Bush did too. But one of the reasons being is because
Yeah.
George
Wait. Explain to me why you believe these things should be. You said should be privatized.
Yeah.
It should be for you and I. They should be privatized for me.
No, that's not. No. When
Okay,
you
no,
say
no, no,
privatized,
no.
when you say privatized means
Business.
that businesses should run
No,
it and
he
control
was-
the access
Yeah.
and things of that nature.
Well, what I mean is it should be end user specific for how you want to have that access. Like with your Social Security,
It should be
you
public.
Be able to do whatever you want with that.
He needs to be
particular
public,
money.
but
He means, yeah,
It
folks.
should
He
be
said,
privatized
I would say
for
this is
what
a.
you wanna do.
I would say
It
this
should
is the
be
wrong
public
show for
money.
you.
Yeah.
If you
No,
keep on
no,
privatized.
no, no, help me articulate, Dennis. But no, what I'm saying is when we're talking about things, that's part of why I always have like.
I think Facebook should be public too.
I think you should pay for Facebook.
I think it's moving that way.
I think Facebook should be publicly owned. I think Amazon should be publicly owned at this point. I think because
Yeah.
you know,
But
you
it
know-
is public, because you can start. You can buy the stock.
No, that's not public.
That's going public. Those are two different things.
No, I mean, their stock has been for sale.
No, we're saying that the government should
run
run
it. They
should run
come
it.
in and run it. I'm saying.
You should be like employed, like we were talking about,
like the USPS, like the USPS. And the reason why I say that about, and I know
because the people make up the workforce.
No. It's because they have monopolized the market. So once you get so big, like think about Amazon. Amazon is really important to, like, literally people would die without Amazon right now. Like people are getting medicine through Amazon. People are getting equipment through Amazon. They connect. They're
getting them at the lowest price.
Just about
There's
everything.
still there's
Just
still
about everything that
Walmart
you're
out there.
looking at.
Walmart.com was the first ones to do it.
Just about everything that you're looking at on this screen came from Amazon.
all this, and I hate Amazon.
I do too.
I really do.
Look,
Amazon come to my house every goddamn day.
You saw, I got a package right now from Amazon.
I got on my way. I
inside-
was leaving. Amazon was coming to my house.
Inside, look, I worked there. FYI, just for the people on this panel, I worked at Amazon. So trust me, you're preaching to the choir. And one of the things that Amazon preaches as a whole is that there's two types of customers. There's an upstream customer and downstream customer. And guess where you fit into? Guess how important those two people are? More important than you as the employee. Because your upstream customer, whether that's another department, whether it's the end user getting their product, they're the lifeline of the customer of the company. It is emblazoned in their ethical code that you are not more important than the customer, which literally says to any human being, if you work there, you're nothing more than a cog in capitalism.
No, I mean that's
Well,
most
that's-
jobs though. And so I'm not. I mean,
But they stress it to a
and that-
point to where they were quelching.
Well,
yes.
I think that they're saying that mostly from a customer service standpoint.
That's what I thought too. Until there was a time where we all as people started to talk about unionizing because of the hours that we were working, because of the amount of injuries
because
that were happening.
because you get injured.
And they brought in specialists to talk to us group by group
to talk you out of it.
about how, not even talk us out of it, to spell out the fears and demonize
Union.
having a union.
Yeah.
So when I tell you, I was in one of those meetings and I'm talking to the people